Hello, guten Tag, and welcome to another cinematography breakdown. Today's setup was rather simple, but very effective. The scene I'm going to dissect today was for a short film we shot earlier this year, and the scene took place in the late morning, early noon. Unfortunately, due to scheduling, we had to shoot this at night. So as you can see here in the behind the scenes, there's hardly any light anymore, so we had to bring in our own light to make it look like this. And once we turn off our key lights, you can see that there's hardly any light in the scene whatsoever. So in this video I'm going to show you what equipment we used, how we lit this scene. I'm also going to turn all the lights on one by one so you can see what each light does on its own, and then hopefully afterwards you can light a night to day scene yourself. As I've already mentioned in the beginning, this was for a family drama short film where I was the director of photography. And I will link their Instagram account down in the description, so if you're interested, you can follow them and then you'll get all the updates once the film is actually being released. In this scene there was a lot of tension, so here we didn't really want to have everything high-key commercial lighting, but a little bit more on the dramatic side and also a little bit moody, so this is why we also introduced a lot of haze. We filmed this entire short film on the Red Komodo X with the Sigma 18-35 as well as some Zeiss CP3 Cine primes. The scene we were filming here was a wide shot because I had to get both parents as well as their daughter in the shot. And this didn't give us the luxury to just zoom in closer and set up our own lights inside of the room, because we basically had the entire living room in frame. The very first thing we did is we set up some lights in the background to make the background a little bit more interesting and also to get a bit of color contrast and to set apart our actors from the background, because again we couldn't really put any big lights inside of the room, so we wanted to give a little bit of level to the background as well. We set up one of our pocket lights inside of the practical lamp in the background, and we didn't really want to use the practical lamp itself because we wouldn't be able to control it. Then we also set up another of our pocket lights inside of the decoration in the corner, just again to bring some level into this dark corner. And then we also set up a third light inside the kitchen to bring up the level in the background even further, because otherwise we would have a really dark spot in the kitchen corner. Once we set up all these pocket lights, we actually turned on the camera and we exposed for the scene, factoring in the light that was coming in from the outside and exposing for the lights that we just set up. And as you can see here, there wasn't really much light in this room at all. Now it's time to bring in our key light. And as I've already mentioned, this was rather simple due to the circumstances we had in the room. In this living room, we had electrical window frames that we could adjust to our liking, as well as a really nice big soft curtain. So we were able to set up the blinds not only in a way where we had control over our light spill and the direction of our light, but we could also create these nice dark and light patterns in the room to just create more depth and make the entire scene more interesting. The big curtain did two things for us. Number one, it worked as a diffusion frame, so we didn't really have to set up our own diffusion and we got a really nice and soft key light. Number two, since the curtain wasn't see-through, we were able to place our lights just outside of the window to give us more level and more flexibility without having them visibly in frame. Before we talk all the lights that we actually did set up, let's talk a little bit about light motivation. And that one is pretty obvious because, like I said, we were shooting late morning to around noon, so obviously the source of light would be the sun. So when we were placing our lights, we were trying to mimic the look of the actual sun. Our first light was an Aperture 600D with an Aperture Fresnel lens, and we placed it rather low so that you can actually see the light source in frame, but you couldn't really make out what it is. And this now actually looks like it could be the sun that is just shining through the window in a late morning setting. And like I already said, we were shining it through the curtain to give us diffusion and also through the blinds so that we could actually get this nice morning look pattern. And we placed this light in a way that it was acting as a key light for the daughter that was in the right side of the frame. But here you can obviously tell that we need a little bit more level and we need more exposure on the parents. And for this we set up two more Aperture 600Ds, and those we placed a lot higher so that we can see them through the window, because otherwise it would look like we have three suns. One of the two we were pointing mostly towards the mother, and the other one we were pointing towards the father. And having those two lights set up at around a 45-degree angle behind our subjects, that actually gave us a nice silhouette, and we were able to shoot shadow side to get this a little bit more dramatic look, also to create more depth and just still have enough level, because it was also bouncing off the table and off the entire room that I believe had white walls, so that we did get enough level from the other side to actually just make out the faces and not just look at silhouettes. And this is it. This is all the lights that we needed. 3 Aputure 600Ds. One that was so low in frame that you could actually see it in frame and that it actually looked like the sun, with the Fresnel to just give us more output and also create a bigger light source. And then 2 Aputure 600Ds that were so high up that were just creating more level in the room and just giving us more power output. Then our 3 pocket lights that we placed throughout the background to also give a little bit more level here, and they also acted as a contrast to our daylight balanced apertures, and we put them at around 3200 Kelvin to create some color contrast. So now that the scene is finished, I will show you what each individual light does. Here's the scene with just the practical lamps in the background. Here's the scene with our first key light that was directed at the daughter. Here's the scene with our second key light pointing at the mother. And last but not least, here's our third Aputure 600D pointing at the father. Now add a little bit of haze to get this early morning feeling and also to soften up the light even further and spread it throughout the room. And then we have our night for day scene. So here you go. Rather simple setup, but really highly effective. And it shows you how much you can do with just a handful of lights and a curtain and blinds. I hope you liked this video, and if you did, then please give it a thumbs up because it really helps the channel grow. And if you want me to do more cinematography and lighting breakdowns of this short film as well as other projects, then let me know down in the comments below. Subscribe for more and activate the notification bell to not miss those videos, and I hope to see you on the next one.